I want to introduce first our moderator is Mr. Davis Rankin with KURB Radio. This is the second time he's done this for us, and we are grateful. Thank you, sir, for coming over. I just want you all to know that all of the candidates for these races were invited with the same letter, and they were also got each at least one phone call to ask them to come or to confirm their appearance and participation here. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rankin.
Thank you very much. Well, I can't do this and do this, so I guess I'm fortunate to have a lovely backside. All right, let's read the ground rules. Each candidate will have 3 minutes for an opening statement. By the way, the timekeeper is this fellow here, and he has a stopwatch. He'll be using a timer, and he has a 30-second. So, show him that. 30 seconds, and then when you're done, he stands up, and if you keep on going, which never happens, I don't know what we'll do. So, the questions have been developed by the Governmental Affairs Committee of the Harlingen Area Chamber, and I'll be asking them. They're their questions. You all have 2 minutes to answer each question. Each candidate should have at least 3 questions, at least. And the order in which, well, I'll explain the order. We're going to do this in just a second. You'll have 3 minutes then for a closing statement. Candidates are asked to address all remarks to the audience and not to fellow candidates. And if you didn't hear the question, you can ask for it to be repeated, obviously. And the audience members need to listen respectfully and not interrupt candidates or hoot at us. The way we want to do it is we'll start, the first question will go to the mayor, and then we'll go down the line. And then question number 2 will go first to Danny Castillo, we'll go down the line. And then we'll keep on going that fashion. If I can remember, and we'll also try to rotate Frank, Quinte, and Tudor Yulhorn so that no one goes first all the time, no one goes last all the time. All right. Question number 1 goes first to Mayor Chris Boswell.
Are we skipping the opening statement?
Yes, you're right. It's a race.
It's okay.
Business you can erase.
It's okay. If you want
wind it up to about. Let's have the opening statement. You have 3 minutes each.
All right. Hello, everybody, and thank you all for coming out to join this forum tonight. Thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this forum, and the School District for giving us a great place to talk to you. Over the last 6 years since I've been mayor, I have asked our community to focus on 4 things. The first one is to improve our public safety, and we've done that through lowering our crime rate over a 5-year downward trend every single year, and 2 years ago seeing it drop 18%, last year seeing it drop 20% in both violent crime and in property crimes. And also, hand in hand with that, trying to clean up our community, getting rid of graffiti, and getting rid of the gang hideouts and the graffiti magnets, and tearing down 250 structures that we needed to do. I've also asked the community to focus on retail development, and we've seen explosive retail development in the city of Harlingen in the last few years. We see Bass Pro Shop, we see Sam's, but more importantly, we see an overall increase in our retail sales tax last year of almost 9%. The greatest percentage increase of the major valley cities, Brownsville, McAllen, Edinburgh, and so we've had an excellent ability to increase our retail sales, hitting the $1 billion in total taxable retail sales in our city for the first time in the history of Harlingen. It's been a great effort, and we've laid the table for more and more to come. As we see Sam's and Burlington come online, we're going to see another huge surge in our retail sales tax. We've also continued, though, to concentrate on developing our jobs, just our job base. We brought in United Healthcare, a Fortune 25 company that's committed to create over 5 years 750 jobs, and they're at about 500 right now. Tyco Valves has done a major expansion and consolidation here in our community. We kept them from moving to Ohio. We kept them in our community. They laid a another $5 million investment in Harlingen and added 69 jobs. We kept 130 jobs that we had there. Pan Air has reopened. Cardone has up to 250 jobs. That's the largest supplier it's the supplier for the largest maquiladora in Matamoros. Tire Recycling, a great new company that's come into our community. And ITT Precision also has expanded along with United Launch Alliance. And finally, we've worked hard to be an integral part of the new medical school and now new university for the Rio Grande Valley. That's been our focus, and we have made tremendous strides and achievements in that respect. We've got a lot of momentum. We'd like to keep it. I'd like to ask you for your vote.
Well, good evening. My name is Danny Castillo, and everything he said. No, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I mean, it's really neat to see all y'all come out and hear your candidates speak tonight. I've had the privilege of living in this community for over 38 years. I had the extended honor and privilege of serving as a police officer here for 25 years, the last 9 of those years as your police chief. And I've grown a great sense of pride in this community, a great sense of love for this community, and a tremendous sense of ownership. And I think you build that when you raise your family here. You dig deep roots within a community. So bottom line is I love this community. I've served you for 25 years as a public servant. You've given me the honor of serving you these past 1.5 years as your city commissioner. And I'm hoping that I get to work alongside my fellow commissioners and the rest of your elected body and continue to see our city grow. But I really believe it's not just about growth numerically or growth or the association between growth and just money. We're talking about people. We're talking about you and I and our families, our children, and quality of life. I think that's what will ultimately make you proud of where you live. And I'm proud of what we have made of Harlingen so far. And I think we're at the cusp right now of tremendous growth. Yes, there's going to be, I believe it's coming. We're going to have a lot of retail growth. We're going to have a lot of economic growth within our community. But I believe equally important, if not more so, is to make sure we stay together as a community. That we learn how to work together and grow together so that our children can be proud of what we have built. That is what I commend to you, what I have promised to my family, to my wife and my kids, as far as the reason why I decided to even enter into local politics. It's one of the furthest things in my mind that I ever thought I would do once I retired from public service. But again, I love this community, and I look forward to serving you for another 3 years as your city commissioner. Thank you.
I was hoping you would leave it out of the way because I don't think anybody can see me. And I am standing, by the way, so.
There you go. All right. Now that that's done, Frank Quentin.
Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having us here. First of all, I want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be here to take part in this wonderful forum that we've got put together by the Chamber of Commerce. To all the people from the Chamber of Commerce, thank you for all your hard work. And of course, the moderator, thank you for helping us out with this important event. And I think it's a privilege to be here to share some of our views, whether we agree with them or not, that the public gets to see what we're all about and to see how much we care. And more so, and more importantly, is how much that you guys care. So again, my name is Frank Puente Jr. I am the owner of Puente Roofing Contractors. I started up, or actually I took over my dad's company, who he started back in the early 70s. Went to school here. I'm a graduate of Harlingen High, back when it was one school, the Cardinals, 1981. And went on to school to get my degree in psychology. I am halfway through my master's in public administration. And I actually did a 5-year stint in Northern Illinois University up in DeKalb, Illinois, where I fell in love with public policy. And so that's why I've decided to continue my education in public administration. And part of that learning process is doing something like this. I love politics. For those of you who don't know, I have sat on the commission before, so I do bring a little bit of experience. It was one of the greatest feats that I had ever accomplished in my life, and I look forward to doing that again. My two wonderful parents are here, and I just wanted to let them, or let you know, that I am the oldest of 7 kids. I'm 50 years old, for those of you who don't know how old I am. So I am qualified. And I come from a long line. We've got, the 7 kids, 4 of us have degrees. I'm proud to say I've got a brother who serves in the Air Force. I've got a sister who actually works here at TSTC Early College Prep as an assistant principal. Another brother who's the assistant director for Parks and Recreation in Bernie, Texas. A sister who got her degree in English, but she's a stay-at-home mom too, which is a pretty tough job to begin with. And then my youngest brother, Gabriel, who is the publisher for the RG Vision magazine that was started up here back in '08, I believe. So I am proud of all my family, my brothers and sisters, and that's part of the other reason that I've decided to do this, is because, like Danny had said, and the mayor, we love our community, we want to give back to our community, and I think that this is part of the way of giving back and staying involved and you know, doing something for the future of our children. So I thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you guys real soon again.
Good evening. As David said, my name is Tudor Yulehorn, and I'm a candidate for District 2 of the City of Harlingen. I'd like to also thank the Harlingen Area Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring this evening's candidate forum, and I'd like to thank Davis and all the members of the audience for their participation tonight. I was born and raised in Harlingen. I attended Austin Elementary School just down the street. I went to Gay Junior High, which is right behind us, now known as Memorial Junior High, or formerly known as Memorial since it's moved to a new location. I graduated from Harlingen High School in 1978. I graduated from Texas A&M University with a BS in Agricultural Economics in 1982, and I received my Master of Business Administration from Southern Methodist University in 1983. I returned to Harlingen in 1983 to take over management of my family's farming operation. I married my wife, Catherine, who's here in the audience tonight, in 1985, and we've raised 3 children here. I've lived in District 2 for over 20 years. My children are 4th generation of my family to live in Harlingen. Harlingen is not just a place to us, it's our home. I was taught the importance of volunteerism by my parents and grandparents. I derive great personal satisfaction from being part of something that helps Harlingen and its citizens. I've served in numerous volunteer roles in our community over the past 28 years, including Chairman of the Harlingen Area Chamber of Commerce, Chairman of the Valley International Airport Board, President and Campaign Chairman of the United Way of Northern Cameron County, Chairman of the Rio Grande Council Boy Scouts of America Friends of Scouting Drive, Board Member of the Tip of Texas Girl Scout Council, Board Member of the North Harlingen Rotary Club. I'm the past chairman and still serve on the University of Texas at Brownsville Development Board, and I also serve on the Endowment Board for the Gladys Porter Zoo in Brownsville. In my business career, I've served as a member of the Board of Directors of the former Texas State Bank. I'm a former board member of Southern Texas Title Company, and I served nearly 20 years on the board of Rio Grande Valley Sugar Growers, and I'm also one of the organizers and directors of the new Texas Regional Bank. I've never thought of myself as a politician. However, I recently came to the realization that if a person believes they're qualified to serve, then it's part of their civic duty to offer their services to their community. If the voters of District 2 decide that my education, experience, and my commitment to Harlingen are sufficient to elect me to represent them and the entire city of Harlingen, then it would be my honor to serve as your city commissioner. Thank you.
Let's get to question number 1. It'll go first to Danny Castillo. We'll go down and then come back and finish up with Chris Boswell. There's the perception that the city of Harlingen has a reputation for having a cumbersome and expensive process for new commercial construction or building expansion. Do you agree? If so, what course of action would you pursue to make the city more competitive in this arena? If you don't agree, please explain your position.
Thank you for the question. Well, you know, that's an interesting word as far as perception, because to the
You have
individual,
2 minutes, I'm sorry, 2 minutes to answer.
perception to the individual, that's a reality. And I know I've heard that before. I've heard that, and that's been discussed both individually with others, and then as a whole, we've discussed that as a commission. I think that there's a lot of things that the city has done that I have been witness to that I think has helped streamline a lot of the processes for new construction as well as establishment of businesses within our community. But I think when we deal with the perception of individuals, I think it's going to be important for us to continue to stress to our staff and the city as a whole to make sure we communicate the instructions and the methodology that is needed for them to establish their businesses here in our city in a way that it's educational for the individuals. Because I think that's been one of the gaps that I've seen in interacting with different individuals, that there are certain things that hadn't been explained in detail. And that's one of the things I've discussed with city staff. And I know I've heard that discussed among other city commissioners that I've served with. And I think we're sitting good as a community, as a city. I think we're inviting new business into our community, and we will continue to work on making it a better process.
All right, thank you very much. Frank Quincy, what do you feel the city can do better to support and encourage existing businesses in Harlingen to grow and expand?
Well, I think it comes back to the same topic as the last question, is perception. What can we do to help out? I've always been a firm believer in helping out our own, kind of like your own family members before you help out the neighbors. And so when it comes to the small businesses here in Harlingen, I think we need to focus on helping them out with more programs, information, any kind of things that we can come up together for information to help them to grow and prosper in there. But we've got a good thing going on right now. I think progress is really good. Obviously, everybody's heard of the Bass Pro Shop coming up. We got Sam's coming up, and those are all very good, effective tools in utilizing and growing the city's, economic growth. But when it comes to small businesses, I think we need to focus and maybe pay a little bit more attention to what we have here. And I'll give you an example. The downtown district, which is in our district, is a vital part of the city of Harlingen. We need to see if we can figure out how we can be more inviting and get more business to come into that one region to make that area grow and prosper. And not only with people coming in from the outside, but helping our own businesses here in Harlingen. There's a lot of mom and pop shops that are here in Harlingen that I would like to really focus on. Aside from the businesses that are coming into town from outside of Harlingen, I think we really should focus more and try to help out and get more information, get more resources for these small businesses here in Harlingen.
Mr. Uhlhorn, this next question is similar to that, but a little bit different. What will you do to bring more businesses to Harlingen, thereby creating more and better jobs?
Well, as a city commissioner, I think it's part of your duty to help support the Economic Development Corporation and their efforts to do that. It kind of goes hand in hand with a couple of the other questions you just asked, with trying to streamline the development process to make that easier to get done. And there's always room for improvement in any process, and I would be open to trying to do that to get new businesses to locate here. I fully support the things that we've done in the recent past, using those economic tools that are available to us through the Economic Development Corporation, the 3/8 cents of sales tax that we have for economic development. I think the Bass Pro Shops deal is fantastic for Harlingen, and I know that there are going to be other things that spin off of that. We're already starting to see that spin-off growth. And so my role as a city commissioner, I believe, is to try to be supportive of those efforts. When I look at something like that, though, it's a risk-reward situation for me. I want to see how much money the city of Harlingen is going to invest in a company and what the return is going to be back to the city of Harlingen over time. And I think that we're doing that now, but that's very important to me, to make sure that the money that we invest in these companies that come here is metered out over time, or some way that we can't just invest the money all up front and then have them go belly up in 2 years and leave us holding the bag. So to me, I'm going to look at it like a business. What's in it for the city of Harlingen? Will the growth be there, and will that, whatever development dollars we're doing, pay for that company?
Mr. Boswell, what can the city do to build on the momentum created in the retail sector by Bass Pro Shop, Sam's Club, and Burlington Coat Factory?
The table is really laid for those for retail sales growth and for retail development. We worked to develop 3 distinct development projects to attract retail. The first one was Harlingen Corners. That's where now that's anchored by Kohl's. It's now going to City of Burlington Coat Factory come in. We worked also to develop Cameron Crossing, which is anchored by Bass Pro Shops, and now we're starting to see additional development, including a Marriott Residence Inn, which will break ground soon, which will be right there next to Bass Pro Shops. And then the third development is Harlingen Heights, where we had a ceremonial groundbreaking for Sam's, and they should be actually breaking ground in about 30 days. So I think that the table is laid now for our retail development, and the retail development will now not naturally follow those three anchors in those three different developments. And we can continue to concentrate on other things, such as our primary manufacturing base, our medical school, our VA center development, and continue to maintain a financially sound and secure city.
Thank you very much. We'll start the next question with you guys. We'll go first with Tudor Yulehorn. Well, let's not. Let's start with Frank Quinte. Mr. Quinte, what do you believe the city should do to assure that the new four-year medical school be developed at the Regional Academic Health Center, the RAC, here in Harlingen?
Can you repeat the question?
What do you believe the city should do to assure that the new four-year medical school will be developed at the RAC, or the Regional Academic Health Center, here in Harlingen?
Well, I think the plan that they've got in place right now is a perfect plan. I don't think we should sway from that. The only thing that I would recommend is that maybe we should get more involvement from the community itself, more participation from the citizens to kind of get involved. And I think the chamber already has something in effect where they've got like a legislative process to go up and visit with the key people for different programs for the RAC. So I think what we've got in place is working well. I would personally like to see a little bit more involvement from different parts of the city. I think the plan that they have right now is a good plan with in reference to moving forward into the future with the four-year program. I've been involved, I personally, on my business level, I get very involved with the legislative process up in Austin. Usually every 2 years we'll go up to, to do testimonies or testimonials or to testify in Senate committee hearings for things that are going to make a difference in our community. So again, I think maybe just focus a little bit more on educating the community and getting a lot more involvement from the citizens.
Mr. Yulehorn, keeping the city clean and appealing is vital to economic growth. Please give voters your ideas on more ways to deal with remaining unsightliness in Harlingen and how to make Harlingen even more attractive.
Well, to make Harlingen even more attractive is to tear down more dilapidated structures and to continue to clean up. The previous administrations have laid a very good foundation of tearing down dilapidated buildings. As the mayor mentioned, I think there have been 250 plus structures that have been torn down in recent years, especially with the help of the Texas National Guard. The city has to identify those structures, city staff has to do that, and so that's an ongoing process that I think we've already got a very good start, and a lot of those structures are already identified. We've got Harlingen Proud, we've got organizations that are already in place to do that. I participated in a trash bash probably just 2 weeks ago. So we have a lot of interest in our community, and I'm going to guess that there were 300 or 400 people that turned out for that trash bash. So I think Harlingen is already doing a lot of good things to help with the beautification of the city. Of course, there's always more that can be done. Specifically, the interchange that we have out there between 77 and 83, I think could probably use some additional enhancement. Then there's always a trade-off there because that's such a huge area. Somebody has to mow and maintain that area. And I believe that responsibility falls back onto the city of Harlingen to do a lot of that landscape maintenance once you get it in there. But I think there are ways we can do. I noticed in McAllen they have some more intense landscaping on a lot of the overpasses and other areas, and I would be supportive of that. I'd also like to beautify the entrances to the community on the north side at 77. We've already had a leadership Harlingen class, I believe, do a welcome to Harlingen area there that's landscaped. And so basically what I would do is continue the things that we have in place. We've already got a volunteer organization in Harlingen Proud. We've got lots of things going. And so that's what I would do, is continue what we've already got.
Thank you very much. Mr. Boswell, name Harlingen's greatest strength and greatest weakness. How will you capitalize on the strength and how will you improve the weakness?
Harlingen's location is its greatest strength, and Harlingen's location is its greatest weakness. We're centrally located. It gives us an opportunity to provide a regional center for our airport, for medical school, for the Regional Academic Health Center, for the VA Surgical Center. I think it gives us an opportunity to capitalize on bringing, now with some attractive retail stores, to come to more Mexican national shopping to our community. That's something that Harlingen has never really experienced much before. I think from a distribution standpoint and developing a business warehouse and parks, we're able to do that. The weakness simply is that we have been not right next to a community like Matamoros or Reynosa, where you have a couple million people in each of those cities with their own ability to generate a lot of income and have their communities come and shop right next door. But because of the things that I think we're doing, I think we're being able now to attract a lot more of our visitors from Mexico to come to Harlingen. It is centrally located. We can capitalize on the fact that this is the center of the Rio Grande Valley. So I hope that as we go along, we can really focus and develop a strategy for making Harlingen and a more important destination for not only winter Texans, not only folks from out the Rio Grande Valley, but for our neighbors in Mexico who might like to come and shop in a different area, experience some different opportunities that we have in our community of Harlingen.
Thank you. Mr. Castillo, if you and I met 3 years from now, what would you like to say that you have accomplished as a city commissioner?
Well, a couple of things that I know we've started. Tudor mentioned one of them. The mayor assigned me about 8 months ago, to head up a subcommittee on dilapidated structure removal. Now, our city has been really successful in addressing residential structures and the tearing down of dilapidated structures that ended up being magnets for criminal activity and graffiti. But the bigger challenge, I think, for any community is addressing some of the older commercial structures. Since then, I have been meeting with city staff and with a couple of volunteers from the community. We're trying to strategize some next step strategies for the city, because there's always the challenge involved with the funding and the overall issue of trying to tear down very expensive structures. A lot of these private owners have those economic challenges of trying to see what they can do with the property. And we have several of those in our community. So for me, what I'd like to see within the next 3 years, I'd like to see a successful list of commercial structures that we would be able to either rehabilitate or remove so that we could reuse that property for additional new retail growth. That's one of the biggest things that I would really like to see. Some of the other good things that I think we've been able to do during these my first tenure here, and I was real proud of the fact that we were able to get a consensus among the commission to approve the tax freeze for our senior citizens and disabled individuals here within our community. I think that's a big thing. We've touted ourselves as a retirement community, and I felt we needed to put them first.
Thank you. Mr. Puente, why do you want to serve on the city commission?
Well, as I stated before, I've served on the commission before, and it was one of the greatest experiences that I've ever accomplished in my life. Having said that, after falling a couple of times and getting back up on my feet and running a business and learning different things that are going on here in Harlingen, one of the reasons that I want to get back on is just to really, do something to improve the quality of life here in Harlingen. There's always talk about how everybody's passing us up in Harlingen. So it seems to be falling in the background of being overshadowed by some of the other cities in Harlingen. And so one of the reasons that I would like to get involved is to really get involved with more aggressive growth. I'd like to see a little bit more involvement with the Economic Development Corporation. And one of the things I'd really like to do is get our youth involved. It seems like some of them tend to go off into college and then they come back. And so I'd like to work on something on trying to get that perception of making Harlingen a really nice place to come back to, not just to visit, but to live and think about maybe even pursuing their school or their education down here. We've got the RAC that's here in the Valley. That should be a ticket for a lot of these kids who might want to stay in the Valley and start their roots here, especially here in Harlingen. As the mayor had stated before, one of the greatest assets that we have is because Harlingen sits right in the middle of the Valley. I mean, we're still considered the capital of the Rio Grande Valley, and so that's what I'd like to focus on, is really getting the word out and do a little bit more marketing for Harlingen, kind of give us that, get us back into #1.
Mr. Uhlhorn, what do you consider your most important professional accomplishment?
I would have to say, recently, and I mentioned this in my opening statement, I, together with 4 other businessmen from the community, after having, I served on the board of Texas Regional Bank Shares and Texas State Bank, and when that was sold to BBVA Compass, every time you do a deal like that, there's always, well, there's never going to be any change. We're just going to keep operating that just like we did before. Don't worry, nothing's going to happen. And that was true for a little while, and then gradually, as things started to unfold, we saw that just like the other large institutions, they weren't really focused on the needs of the businesses in the Rio Grande Valley. They were sort of getting a lot of other customers to move away. They didn't want to be in that particular business. They didn't want to be in this business because it didn't fit their sort of global model, because you're talking about, when you're talking about BBVA, you're talking basically about a global company. And so we saw that need and decided to get back involved. And in 2008, I believe, we started meeting on Tuesdays at 7:30 in the morning, and with probably only about 3 or 4 Tuesdays since 2008 have we not met at 7:30 in the morning. And we went through the process of raising capital, purchasing a bank in Falfurrias, bringing the charter to Harlingen, developing Texas Regional Bank to be a bank that would be for the businesses in the Valley, to be able to serve as a community bank, because we thought that was important to do that. And I'm proud of the fact that we now have 4 locations, 3 of which are in the Valley, in Brownsville, Harlingen, and McAllen, and also in Falfurrias. And so if I had to give an accomplishment, that would be it.
Mr. Boswell, creating new, high-paying, quality, full-time jobs should be the main focus of any economic development organization. Should Harlingen focus its economic development efforts and resources on attracting new business and industry, or on the retention and expansion of existing businesses? Is one more important than the other? And please explain your position.
One is not more important than the other. Both are vitally important. Once you get a company here, you want to see it stay here and thrive and expand. I mentioned earlier when I talked about Tyco Valve company, it was a company where the manager of the company called me on my cell phone. I've never met him before. Called me and said, we're going to move to Ohio, or we're going to stay in Harlingen, but one of the 2 plants is going to be shut down. We said, we'll make you stay here. We'll find a way to have you stay here. And they did a $5 million expansion. We kept 139 jobs, added another 69 jobs. That's an example of how we can retain jobs, and how we've shown a commitment to retain jobs. 5 years ago, there were 11 VA healthcare workers in the city of Harlingen. Today, the VA employs over 300 in very high-paying jobs, and that's a direct result of a spin-off of the development of a regional academic health center. So we can work on a variety of levels. We can work in areas that are call center jobs, but we can also advance that like United Healthcare service sector jobs, which we've done. That's a service industry, and then we can continue to work on tier 1 jobs or manufacturing growth. But our high-paying jobs we'll see in the healthcare sector, and that's where we've been able to have a lot of success because, as I mentioned, the VA located that surgical center here and expanded the specialty clinics because we had medical education in the city of Harlingen. And we had focused on working to develop that over the last 15 years, and it paid off 5 years ago.
Thank you. Mr. Castillo, it's been said that many cities in the valley are seen as territorial and not united or unified when it comes to economic development endeavors. Do you agree with that, and what would you do differently to benefit the local economy?
Well, I think one prime example, I think, and the mayor has touched on this, and it's been one of the, I think, going to be and has already been the big win for this whole region is the efforts we've had for the full-fledged medical school, that whole system here for this region. I think that's one prime example of how cooperation and collaboration can benefit not just one single community, but an entire region. And I think that's going to be a great benchmark for our region, a great example of what teamwork can accomplish. And I don't think there's really, I think there's some things that we definitely have to look at to benefit our city as an individual community. But I think we're learning more and more, especially along the border here and within our area here, that all of our communities are interdependent. We're all depending on successful economic growth that we will either benefit from mutually or we will all suffer from if we don't learn how to work together. So what I'm trying to say is I think we've seen a successful example of everything that's happened both legislatively and then locally, seeing the communities coming together and now we're at the threshold of getting this medical school established here within our entire region. I think if we can replicate that in other areas, there's been a recent study, I think you all may have seen it in the paper, it was pretty interesting, where they made that retail market study and realizing the benefit that this entire region can have in luring the Mexican national shoppers. And we've seen the effects both beneficially in Hidalgo County, and I believe we're beginning to see that in Cameron County. And I think what we've done so far, collectively and collaboratively to bring in these anchor stores like Bass Pro and all of the associated growth, we'll be able to benefit from that here in Harlingen.
Mr. Puente, Harlingen has a beautiful international airport primed for still more growth. What will you do to foster that growth?
I think, again, this has to do with the EDC. I'd like to see more involvement with them. What I'd like to see is a little bit more marketing, physical marketing, not just waiting for people to come and knock on our door, for us to go out and really try to research and do the work to where we can lure more companies, more airlines, more shops, and maybe even getting I guess the government involved where we could have like a customs substation. But again, it falls back on being the capital of the Rio Grande Valley where we're centrally located. It makes more sense for anybody from the outside, whether you're a local company or an international airline. It makes more sense for them to focus their efforts in here. And so I think what we should do is go after that. And again, this has to do with a more aggressive approach, getting involved with the EDC, the marketing department, getting involved and going out and visiting with these people, and not just a phone call or an email or information, but I'm talking about really, getting on a plane and going out and going after these people aggressively to show them what we've got, bring them down here and show them the assets that the airport has got.
Thank you. Mr. Yulhorn, what will you do to support business in the Harlingen area?
Well, I thought we maybe already covered that, but again, that gets back to the EDC and streamlining the development process here in town. I'm open to looking at new things for the development process. I know I have friends in Brownsville, and they have recently implemented a new strategy where they have all of the members of the different departments that have to approve a new business or a new subdivision or a new type of construction that's going to be going on somewhere in the community. and they have sort of streamlined that process where they can, a developer can come in and do sort of a one-stop shop, and then in about 10 days or 2 weeks, I think they meet every 2 weeks, they get a form back that tells them everything that they need to do and where they need to go to do it, and I think that would be very helpful. So I'm open to that. So as a city commissioner, what you can do is be supportive and try to influence the Economic Development Corporation to do the types of things that they're already doing. There's always room for improvement. And you can work with the city staff to try to streamline and look at other places where people have tried innovative things to make that development process easier, because it's never easy. Nobody wants to have to make the changes to bring their building up to code. No, you know, so a lot of that is anecdotal in that you hear these stories about, well, so-and-so decided not to come to Harlingen because they just couldn't deal with the city staff. Some of that is rumor, and maybe some of it is fact. And sometimes it's hard to separate the rumor from the fact. There are just as many people that say Harlingen is a great place to do business, and boy, you guys were easy to deal with. And then the next time you turn around, you'll hear somebody that would say it was very difficult to deal with Harlingen. And sometimes that's just the difference between the two individuals and how they see things.
Thank you. Mr. Boswell, why is it important to promote Harlingen as a tourism destination?
Because tourism is a big business, and in a lot of different ways. Well, I love talking to winter Texans when they're in our community, and I tell them, you know, we love to have you here in Harlingen, and it's not just because you spend money, it's because you spend a lot of money. And they like that. They like it when I tell them that, because they know they spend a lot of money in our community. And so our winter Texan industry is an important industry. That's why the Chamber helped work so hard to get our city certified as a retirement community so that we can promote the city of Harlingen as a certified retirement community. But we've also seen the great and important impact of birding and ecotourism. I see Danny Haney in the audience, and I look at him as one of our poster children for why we want to promote birding and the ecotourism industry. Danny and his wife moved from Washington, D.C. to Harlingen because of the birding that they can experience here, and because of our birding festival that's one of the greatest festivals in the world for that type of activity. And so it brings not only seasonal dollars into our community, it brings year-round dollars when you attract people to our community like this. But the thing that we really haven't focused on like we should, and I think that we have now an opportunity because of some of the new retail opportunities that we have in Harlingen, is to really attract Mexican tourism to the city of Harlingen. We now have the tools, we now have the types of activities, and if we can build upon those retail opportunities, we can introduce them to our medical communities, then I think we have an opportunity to develop a whole new area of tourism that we really haven't seen in Harlingen before. So tourism, it means economic growth, it means economic development, it means bringing a lot of dollars to your community.
Thank you very much. Mr. Castillo, how will you help foster a positive business climate in the community?
That's a good question. I think, you know, I don't think it's something that one individual can do by themselves. I think, you know, I was just thinking when my fellow candidates were speaking about the EDC, and that's one of our boards. I think a very important function that they serve in economic development. But I think it's important for us to surround ourselves with qualified, proven individuals, especially in the business sector. An example of that, I see Dr. Gilbert Leal that's here in the audience. People like that we get to serve on these boards and act as advisors to the city, help us collectively and collaboratively establish good guidelines and goals for us as a community. I think that's one of the important things that we can do to continue to strengthen our business community. And among it, a lot of these boards, I mean, I met earlier today with the Harlingen Board of Realtors. You know, you have various boards and groups of individuals that are very professionally qualified in their specific disciplines. And I think the more we're able to open our doors and our ears to hear and to listen to their to their input, I think that helps us make better and more informed decisions as a governing body.
Thank you. Mr. Puente, Harlingen appears to have made great strides in improving the quality of life for citizens with hiking and biking trails, tennis courts, and soccer fields. What are your plans to improve on this in order to attract new business and more residents?
I do agree that the city has done great things and made great strides in our parks and trails and hike and bike facilities that we have here. But as a business owner, and if you're someone looking from the inside, looking up from the outside in, is that something that's really going to make or break your decision to bring your businesses to Harlingen? And I don't think it is. I think that's part of the ingredient that will help making a decision. But as far as attracting new businesses, I think we need to focus more on what other attractions we have here, not just our parks or bike and hike trails. Those are all wonderful things, but I think we need to focus more on what is going to bring new businesses, what's going to attract them, especially the quality of life. And of course, that part of it doesn't involve that part of quality of life, but what is it, what's going to lure these businesses, what's going to attract these businesses to come to Harlingen? Well, I think we need to, and again, it's a little bit more of that aggressive approach, more marketing, going out to these businesses and telling them, look, what is it going to take to get you guys to come down to our city? And let me show you what we've got. And not only look at what Harlingen's got, but look at the surrounding area as a region. You know, we've got Mexico, we've got the island, we've got all these national parks that are around here. So I think we need to look at it at a broader, in a broader sense, to attract these businesses just to come over and stay here in Harlingen. And again, let's focus on the things that we've got, the assets that we have. Parks are great, but we've got a centrally located airport. We've got two border towns that are real close to us that can help out at the Port of Harlingen. I think we really need to focus on broadening our marketing strategy, in my opinion.
Mr. Uhlhorn, what do you believe is a commissioner's most important duty to the citizens of Harlingen, and why?
Well, the most important duty I believe that a commissioner has is to provide the basic services that a city and a citizen expects. That's police protection, fire protection, streets. Those are all of the basic things that you're elected to do and that are your primary responsibility. And Harlingen has done a very good job of that, I think, with the reduction in the crime rate and other things. But that's what I see as my primary goal, is to provide a safe city for the citizens of Harlingen, and to do it at a reasonable cost. There are other cities in the Rio Grande Valley that don't have near the facilities that we have, that have twice the tax rate that we have. And so you've got to be very careful about how you do those types of things. I think that the employees that the city of Harlingen has, nearly 805 employees, I believe, work for the city and the other enterprise funds that are involved, are all great people. That's our biggest asset, and that's the way I feel about it, is that the first thing you've got to do is take care of the basics, which would be police protection, fire protection, streets, all of the basic things that a city has to provide. And everything else that you do is sort of extra, the things that we've been talking about here, economic development and quality of life. But before you can get to any of that, if you don't have a safe community, the rest of it doesn't matter.
The next question goes to Mr. Boswell. It's said that Harlingen lacks adequate facilities to attract conferences and conventions. What's your opinion on that, and how do you intend to address it?
Well, that would be part of my closing statement. But we need to.
That's still coming. You can talk about it twice.
We need a little more upscale hotel than what we have, and I do believe that we need a conference facility. We have actually several options that are being studied currently about how to achieve that, and I look forward to being able to meet soon with the City Commission in Harlingen for B corporations to make some proposals on that. We do need a conference facility. We do need a conference facility. We need something that where, for example, the hospital or other large employers can have meetings at where they don't have to go to Brownsville or some other community, because we just don't have a conference facility large enough to hold trainings and meetings of that kind. We've also seen a demand of this with, for example, some of our investors in our community. The Japanese investors from the Alabama Labs and our Alabama plant here, they come to our community, but they have to stay somewhere else because we don't have a hotel large enough to hold them all. They've invested their money. They're working for a company that produces a product here in our community, but they can't stay in our community because we don't have a hotel large enough or a conference facility large enough to keep them there. I think that there are some real affordable opportunities. I think we have some prospects that are interested in making a large investment in a hotel in this community. It will supply the other part of that facility, and that's the conference center. And I think we can do that without breaking the bank. I think we can do it in a reasonable way, and we can do it quickly.
All right, we've got 2 more questions, and then we'll start with closing statements. And I guess Mr. Yulehorn will be the first closing statement. Mr. Castillo, what experience do you have that qualifies you to serve as a city commissioner?
Well, as I stated in my opening statements, I'm a lifelong resident, practically my whole life. I think we moved here when I was like 8 years old. And since then, we've been here. I went to school here. I got married here. I raised my children here. They both went to school here. I served this community for 25 years as a police officer. During that time, I got to know our community. I got to know the various neighborhoods and residents, the business community. And it was a very rewarding but a very educational and process for me in my life. I practically grew up in the police department, and I learned what it was to truly serve. The last 9 of those years, I served as a police chief for this community. I'm very proud of that because of, again, that sense of ownership that I built in this community leading up to that point of leadership in the police force. And during that time, I think I've really accomplished a partnership with our community, and that's translated over into my service as a commissioner. I've utilized those same relationships that I developed to help further the goals of the city and to bridge some of those gaps of communication between the elected body and the various neighborhoods in our community. But I think that qualifies me to serve as a commissioner, because I think it's very much needed. You need to be qualified, and we're fortunate that we have a very diverse group where we have business people, we have various disciplines and different industries that have served on the commission. But above all things, you have to really love this community. You have to have a sense of ownership here and a real desire to see this community succeed. I bring that to the table.
Well, we got one more question. The chamber generated 21, and the 21st question goes to Mr. Quinton, and then we'll get 3-minute closing statements starting with Tudor Yulehorn. What's your position on the independence of the waterworks, the airport, and economic development boards?
I used to believe that they should all be unified under the city, but I've seen how effective they are as independent entities, and so I support them to stay that way. I think it would be too much of a burden for one administration to oversee all of the different ones, and so I tend to agree the way it's set up, it's working effectively. Again, I would like to get a little bit more involved with each one of them, and not to oversee or micromanage, but just to see what's going on, so that way when people have their doubts about why they're not held under the cities, you can better explain to them what's going on, what the process entails, why it's so difficult. And when you run them separately like this, it's almost like running a business of your own. And so I think it's a very effective strategy that they're using right now. And I think it's like the old saying goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I think it's a good plan, system that we've got implemented right now.
All right, that's the end of the prepared questions. Now for the candidates' closing remarks, starting first, 3 minutes long, maximum. Tudor Yulehorn.
Okay, I don't think I'm going to need all 3 minutes of that, so I'll turn that over to somebody else, one of my distinguished colleagues here. Again, I'd like to thank the Harlingen Area Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring tonight's event. I'd like to thank Davis for acting as the moderator. And I'd also like to thank the audience for participating in our community and showing interest in city government by coming out here tonight. I wish we had overflowed out into the lobby. We had so many people here. As I stated in my opening remarks, I'm offering my services to the citizens of District 2 and all the citizens of Harlingen to serve as a member of the Harlingen City Commission. If you believe that my education, experience, and commitment to our community make me the best candidate, then I'd be honored to serve as your commissioner for District 2. Thank you.
All right. Again, thanks to all of you for being here tonight. Thank you again to the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you, Davis, for coming out to moderate for us. For 30 years, I've lived and worked in this community. I've raised our family here. Anita and I have volunteered on everything from the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts to the United Way, to the Chamber of Commerce, to the American Cancer Society, you name it. Like many of you, we've done it here in the city of Harlingen because we believe in this community, we love this community, we want to see it prosper and grow. So you don't have to ask where I've been, because I've been here. I want to say that one of the important things about city government is to keep this city government strong financially, and we are strong financially. In the last 5 years, we've gone through the greatest recession since the Great Depression in our country. In the same period of time, the United States government's credit rating has been downgraded by Standard & Poor's, but Harlingen's has been upgraded. We're an incredibly financially healthy community. We added $2.5 million to our fund balance. We went from 10.8 million to about 13.4 million dollars. And so we've demonstrated that we can manage our money and that we can be a prosperous, strong community, keeping our tax rate low. We're going to see some great new things come to our community. We've seen a university center development out at TSTC in partnership with them, with 8 university partners offering 24 undergraduate degree programs and 24 master's level programs. We're also going to see a great development out here with the La Paloma Energy, a partnership with the Bechtel company that's going to develop a $500 million investment in a gas-powered power generation company that can power 700,000 homes. That's going to help us to attract new industry. But we have a lot of things that we still have to do. We've got a lot of things that we still can do. And the 6 things that would be my priorities on May the 12th in working with the City Commission would be to continue to nurture our pivotal role in the development of the RAC into a medical school, to be part of the 4-year medical school and university, to see Senator Cornyn's legislation be implemented to expand VA services either into a hospital at our center here or a specialty center at our center here, a specialty hospital, which is also a possibility. We'd like to see that hotel conference center built, not one that's going to lose money, but one that we think we can turn over as a turnkey to an investor and let them operate as we have an opportunity, and then more downtown development and work on that interchange that Tudor talked about. I need your help, I need your vote, so please come out and vote May the 11th and early voting April 29th through May 7th.
It always impresses me how the mayor is able to be like a walking encyclopedia of the successes of Harlingen. I love hearing his speeches, and certainly I agree with everything that the mayor has stated. That's one of the reasons why I chose to run and I chose to continue to serve our community. I think we have some really good people both serving on the commission currently, and we have good people in the community. You're representative of that cross-section of our community, and that's one of the reasons why I chose to serve. That's one of the reasons why I chose to run again. I remember having a conversation with my wife before I made this decision to initially run. When I retired from the department, I told her, I'm done with public service, babe. I'm going to just go play golf, and I'm going to just enjoy the rest of my life doing something. But she's the one that told me that. She said, "Hey, babe, I don't think you're done yet." And well, here I am. I've really enjoyed serving this community over the last 1.5 years. It's been a learning experience for me. It's been a rewarding experience for me. And I'm hoping that I have the opportunity to continue to serve you as your city commissioner for District 1.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Davis, and the Chamber of Commerce. There's an old saying in Spanish, and my parents were the one who taught me this, and I'll translate for you. It's "Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres." And what that means is, tell me who you were with, and I'll tell you who you are. And by looking into this crowd, I can tell you I'm amongst a lot of great people, and I really appreciate you guys coming out to partaking in this forum. You took your time out of your busy schedules to get involved, and I really love the fact that you guys came out. I mean, there's a lot of great people in here. There's Bill Youngblood, Frank Bogus, Bobby Ferris. I know Bill Ellis is hiding back there somewhere, and more importantly, my parents who attended here. And that's really, it's because of you. That is why I want to get involved. That's why I want to serve as your city commissioner, to get involved, to stay involved, to keep this community the way it's been going. And there's always room for improvement, and I think getting elected onto this commission will be a great part of that improvement. So I thank you all very much, and I'm asking for your vote on May 11th. Thank you.
Thank you to the commissioners and the candidates and to the mayor. And thank you to our timekeeper, Jonathan Medina. So.
I've got a couple of thank yous, actually many. To all the candidates, thank you for coming. For those of you that showed up, we're proud of you. Thank you. To our sponsors for this event, McPherson's Medical Supply, our brand new bronze partner with the Chamber of Commerce. We're thrilled to have you on board and thrilled to have the Murphys help sponsor this event. And to Jonathan Medina with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, a good chamber member, thank you for keeping time. And to Davis, thank you very much. Thank you. There are then another chamber member, Sleepwalkers Coffee, a brand new chamber member, brand new business in downtown Harlingen, is here and is offering their sweets and treats and coffee and tea and all kinds of good stuff so that you all can visit with each other and with the candidates individually. Thank you all for coming out, for caring enough about your community that you're here. We are thrilled to have so many folks here. Thanks.